All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into, well, one of the biggest, darkest scandals of our time. We're talking about a super powerful financier, a private island with some horrifying secrets, and a list of names, a list that could seriously shake the foundations of power. So, let's get into it. This is the story of the Epstein Files.
So you hear the Epstein files, and you might just think it's a bunch of paperwork. But no, it's so much more than that. Think of it like a blueprint for a scandal that goes all the way to the top. We're talking presidents, princes, billionaires, the global elite. And at its core, it's a really tough story about justice being denied for decades, all circling around this one man and the absolutely horrific secrets he managed to keep.
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of his crimes, we have to go to the place where it all happened. We have to visit his kingdom, a 72-acre private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I mean, from the outside, it looked like paradise, but it was a paradise built to hide an absolute nightmare.
They called it Little St. James. To the world now, though, it's just Epstein Island. And on the surface, it looked like the ultimate playground for the rich and famous. You know, luxury villas, private docks, even its own movie theater. Every single thing was designed for total, absolute privacy. But then the FBI raided the island, and what they found revealed its true, incredibly sinister purpose.
And this is where things get really weird. I mean, look at what they found. A strange temple-like building with blue and white stripes, rumors of underground tunnels, statues and CCTV cameras just everywhere. Even a weird face painted on the helipad. This stuff, all these bizarre details, they paint this chilling picture. This wasn't just some luxury vacation spot. No way. This was a fortress, meticulously designed for secrecy and control, built to protect some very, very dark secrets.
So, the big question is, right? How does one guy get so rich and powerful that he can build something like this? And not just build it, but operate with what seemed like total impunity for so long? Well, believe it or not, his stories start somewhere surprisingly ordinary.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein. He was a math teacher. Can you believe it? But he didn't stay a teacher for long. He made the jump to Wall Street, and it turns out his real genius wasn't in numbers, it was in people. Or, more specifically, in getting close to the ultra-wealthy. He had this uncanny ability to make them trust him completely, to manage their massive fortunes. And for him, this was never just about the money. That was just the key. It was his ticket into this exclusive world of immense power and influence.
And the wealth he built up was just staggering. It wasn't just the island. He also had a 75,000-acre ranch out in New Mexico. 75,000, plus a luxury apartment in Paris, and, get this, the single largest private mansion in all of Manhattan. What he did was, he essentially built these private kingdoms all over the world, and every single one was designed to let him operate far, far away from prying eyes.
But you know, for all that staggering wealth, the money wasn't even his most valuable asset, not by a long shot. The thing that truly protected him, the thing that made him feel untouchable, it was his network. That little black book of powerful friends, that was his ultimate shield.
And just take a look at this list. I mean, it really shows you the sheer scope of his orbit. We are talking about former U.S. presidents, British royalty, some of the biggest names in tech, his infamous private jet, which got that horrible nickname, the Lolita Express. Well, its flight logs read like a who's who of the most powerful people on the planet. Think about what that does. Having those people around, it creates this incredible shield. It gives you credibility. It implies you're protected. And for decades, it worked. He seems totally untouchable. I mean, how do you, as law enforcement, go after a guy who's palling around with world leaders? It created this kind of unspoken agreement of mutual protection. The fear wasn't just about what Epstein knew about them. It was that if he went down, he might just tarnish everyone in his orbit.
And here's a really crucial point. Epstein did not do this alone. At his side was his longtime girlfriend and confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell. Prosecutors would later argue she was the architect of the whole trafficking operation. They said she was the one who used her high society status and her connections to recruit and groom vulnerable, often underage girls, pulling them right into their web.
So for years, his victims tried so hard to get justice. They fought desperately, but time and time again, the system, well, it seemed designed to protect the powerful predator, not the people he hurt. And this timeline here, it just lays out a whole decade of frustration and injustice.
It all kicks off in 2005, when one victim, Courtney Wild, bravely files a report. But what does it lead to? A secret, shockingly lenient plea deal in 2008. It then took another 10 years and some incredible work by investigative journalists like Julie K. Brown to expose that deal and finally force the system to act.
I mean, just look at the difference between these two outcomes. It is absolutely stunning. First, you have the 2008 plea deal. This was a secret agreement cooked up with prosecutors so he could avoid a public trial. And the result? He served just 13 months in a private wing of a jail with work release. That meant he could leave the jail for up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. It was a joke. And it gave full immunity to him and his powerful co-conspirators. But then you fast forward to 2019. The public is outraged. And this time, no secret backroom deals. Bail was denied. He was facing the very real possibility of life in prison.
Okay, so here we are. The world is finally about to see Jeffrey Epstein face a real public trial. You can just imagine. His powerful friends were reportedly terrified of what he might say, who he might name. And then, the story takes its most shocking and its most final turn.
On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his cell in one of the most secure jails in America. The official story is suicide, but the question everyone immediately asked was, did he kill himself or was he silenced? His death came right before he could testify, preventing this massive trial that could have blown the lid off his entire network. The timing was, let's just say, convenient, and it instantly sparked all the suspicion and conspiracy theories you can imagine.
And look, this is exactly why those suspicions just won't go away. The CCTV cameras outside his cell, they malfunctioned that night. The 2 guards who were supposed to be on duty, they were asleep. And he had just been taken off suicide watch right before his death. Now, the official cause of death remains suicide, but come on. These facts are the fuel for the fire of the theory that he was silenced to protect some very powerful people.
So Epstein himself escaped a final verdict from a jury. But his primary accomplice? She did not. The investigation kept going, and in 2020, Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested. Victims bravely took the stand and testified, many describing her as the true mastermind of the whole operation. In the end, she was found guilty and sentenced to 20 years in prison.
And what about his money? Well, after his death, a compensation fund was set up using his massive fortune. And this was really a landmark effort to provide at least some form of justice. Over $121 million was paid out to more than 150 of his victims. Of course, no amount of money can ever undo that kind of trauma, but it does represent a formal public acknowledgement of the immense suffering they went through.
So Epstein, the man, is gone, but his secrets, they live on, locked away in documents. Court-ordered releases have started to unseal thousands and thousands of pages of these files, stuff related to his associates, his activities, everything. But as you can see right here, what's been released so far is really truly just the tip of the iceberg.
And that leaves us with the huge, lingering question, doesn't it? With over 1 million pages of these files still unseen, whose secrets are still waiting in the dark, waiting to be exposed? The story of Jeffrey Epstein, the man, might be over, but the story of his files and all the powerful names that could be hidden inside them, that story may have only just begun.